For 945 days, Roman Reigns had ruled the mountaintop of WWE. And honestly, for about 850 of those days, there were no credible challengers in sight to dethrone him. Roman's own blood, Jey Uso, gave everything he had to beat Roman, and failed. Drew McIntyre stepped up to Roman, only to fall back in line and accept his place as number 2. First ballot Hall of Famer Edge had his crack, only to get stacked and pinned with Daniel Bryan. The arguable GOAT of this wrestling thing, John Cena, tried his hand, needing only that 1, 2, 3. But he had no luck either. Brock Lesnar shot his shot multiple times throughout 2022, including the biggest WrestleMania match of all time at WrestleMania 38, and a last man standing war which featured that infamous tractor. That's not to mention Riddle, Rollins, Strowman, Cesaro, Rey Mysterio, Balor, Demon Balor, Goldberg, Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, or Sami Zayn. It's the greatest championship reign of the modern era, and some would argue all time. I acknowledge that, and you should too. But what I don't acknowledge is that Roman Reigns pinning Cody at WrestleMania 39 is the right decision. Because it's not. The truth is, when you have the biggest, most perfect moment possible to do something, you do it. Unless you're WWE. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, so I'll start at the head of the table. I acknowledge that Roman Reigns is the face of WWE. That is objective. This said, the face of WWE has gone from full-time, to half-time, to part-time, to 2018 Brock Lesnar part-time, to even less appearances than 2018 Brock Lesnar part-time, over the course of the last year and a bit. And that is a problem. One of a few. When I was making content full-time in 2020 and 2021 on this channel, Roman Reigns kicked off close to every single episode of SmackDown, making his way down to the ring, cutting his trademark signature "Acknowledge Your Tribal Chief" promo. You've seen one, you've seen many. They're just as good as each other. It was great. Then, as I became less and less consistent with uploading in 2022, so did Roman Reigns with appearing on WWE TV. In the months following WrestleMania 38, and honestly, fair enough. There wasn't really anyone to work with at that stage who warranted Roman Reigns showing up week to week, because let's be real here. We didn't need Roman Reigns appearing every 5 minutes on our TV screens to promote a random July match with Riddle. We didn't need to see that, and Roman Reigns didn't appear, fair enough. By this stage, the Bloodline storyline with Sami Zayn had begun and was slowly gaining traction. Roman's title reign throughout this part of 2022 started to slowly revert back to its 2020 foundation. That foundation being one of family. In 2021, Roman's title defenses felt more about establishing dominance and walking the walk after he talked the talk week after week on SmackDown. From Edge to Bryan to Cesaro to Mysterio to Cena especially, those feuds by and large were about Roman Reigns walking the walk and earning his acknowledgement that he was so desperate to attain. After SummerSlam 2022, with Triple H running the creative for WWE, Roman's reign was no longer solely about him. It was about his family and the Bloodline. Who would Roman Reigns throw under the bus to retain the title? What lengths would Roman Reigns go to keep the thing that means most to him, that championship? How would he manipulate those around him to get the outcome that's best for, well, him? That was the magic of the Bloodline storyline. That's what made it so good, so compelling, so interesting. At Survivor Series, inside War Games, it became really all about Sami Zayn, especially on that night and after. Roman accepting an outsider into the Bloodline. Roman sensing that Sami could be manipulated. Roman's manipulation, it gave Sami purpose. After years of Johnny Knoxville matches and conspiracy theory storylines and floundering in the mid-card and the jobber portion of the card, Roman used Sami Zayn to see off Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. Then, Sami finally saw the light once Roman overstepped the mark post-match. One thing led to another, and next thing you knew, the entire city of Montreal was screaming Olay and booing Roman Reigns like he's John Cena at One Night Stand 2006. Roman, on that night, he threw Jey Uso under the bus, threw his body in the way, barely escaped with the titles there, and there you have it. Then the road led to Cody Rhodes. Alright, now, whether you love Cody or you hate him like the Smarkbusters do, one thing that should be universally acknowledged is that Cody's presentation is main event level. The suits, the well put together monologue promos, the big over-the-top entrance with the Captain America colors, the weight belt as a signature piece of attire he can give to little children in the audience, the whoa! This is Jimmy in post, sorry for your ears there, but listen to this. For all the lows of Stardust, the dashing gimmick, the undashing gimmick, when he had the bag faces and he had the mask in late 2011 when I started watching, and the AEW fans rejecting him en masse, thanks to that infamous Anthony Ogogo promo. We all know the one, I'm not going to address it. Cody had a top tier comeback to WWE in 2022. And come 2023, following the torn pectoral, Cody was the first guy since Roman Reigns had become champion in the heart of a global pandemic. Cody was the first guy that was ready to overthrow him from the mountaintop and be that next star of the company. You see, in wrestling, you've got to make stars. The more stars you make, the easier it is to make even more stars. More stars means more money. More money means more people are watching. More people are watching means wrestling is more pop culture relevant. More pop culture relevancy and success is great for everyone involved. The performers, the suits and ties who are invested in the company, the board, the people running it, the fans, most of all. I want to emphasize that again. The fans. It's more beneficial for the fans, okay? All this led to WrestleMania in Hollywood. WrestleMania 39, Night 2. Cody Rhodes, white hot momentum, primed to finish his story, achieve what his Hall of Fame father could never do, primed to have a legacy-defining, superstar-making moment that could catapult him into the main event scene once and for all for the next several years, potentially make the next Cena-like star if they book him right. Roman Reigns. Family crumbling around him, close to 3 years into a title reign, having beaten everyone relevant on the roster, having main evented 6 WrestleManias already, 4 of which ended in him raising a championship title, or 2 as the show goes off the air. The match was going along perfectly. It was everything you would expect to see with the story that was being told. Roman Reigns was, acting in ways we hadn't seen at any stage in the reign before. His facials during the entrance were different. Paul Heyman, early in the match, full on pulling him out, lecturing and basically scolding Roman Reigns at ringside. Solo Sikoa being the one to enforce for Roman Reigns at ringside. All these things had hardly ever occurred, really, or if ever at all, in this Roman Reigns championship run. It was different. I took note of that. Maybe I read a bit much into that. I don't know, but I found that interesting. Once this moment happened, the moment was upon us. The two men, in Zayn and Owens, whose sole purpose in recent months and years, for Owens especially, was to bring down the Bloodline. They hit their best shots at the Tribal Chief. Zayn hit his hell of a kick. They shot their best shots at the Tribal Chief. The moment was now for Cody. Hit your best shot and claim the kingdom. 81,395 people going crazy. It's WrestleMania. This is the best opportunity you will ever have at WWE.
Solo! Not like this!
When Roman Reigns beat Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle, fans were annoyed. But that was the point. That was the right decision at the time. When Roman Reigns beat Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber, some fans were annoyed, quite a few were disappointed, but that was the point. That was the right decision. When Roman Reigns beat Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39, when the story was perfectly in place, primed to be complete, a building full of 81,000 plus people screaming rampant support for Cody, that's the wrong decision. With that said, let's address why, firstly, Roman is retaining. Roman is retaining basically solely so that he can reach a 1,000-day championship reign. That's about it. And the question I ask, and this is coming from someone who, as you guys, the subscribers of the channel know, anyone listening to this knows, I'm one of Roman Reigns' biggest fans, and I'm asking this question: does the physical number of days make the quality of the reign any better or more impressive to you? Because to me it doesn't, alright? I'll put it this way. A 945-day reign that ends at WrestleMania in Hollywood with 81,000 screaming fans in the building to an opponent that has unbelievable white-hot momentum and a guy who could use that moment to become the next potential John Cena-like babyface for the next 5 years, that beats a 1,070-day title reign, that's assuming it ends at SummerSlam this year, to a guy with maybe, let's say Cody has 80% of the momentum he had at WrestleMania at SummerSlam. That's probably being generous, knowing how WWE booked this stuff. Let's say 60% of the momentum, maybe half, maybe less the momentum, come SummerSlam. Or who knows, maybe it's a 1,300-day title run that ends at WrestleMania 40. Who knows? The point is, keep this in mind. Roman Reigns, well, as we said earlier, is part-time now. And by part-time, I mean a lighter schedule than 2018 Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns, holding 2 titles, championing both shows, appeared on 4 WWE weekly TV episodes between Royal Rumble 2023 and WrestleMania 39. That's a 2-month period where the champion of both Raw and SmackDown appeared 4 times on television. That's not good enough. That simply is not good enough. For context, Brock Lesnar, at the height of everyone hating on him for being a part-time champion never showing up, when he was the Universal Champion in 2018, so the Raw title, not even SmackDown, the Raw title, Brock Lesnar appeared between Fastlane in late February and WrestleMania the first week of April on 3 Raws. I mean, seriously. What are we doing here? Roman Reigns closing a 5th WrestleMania holding a championship over his head does nothing for his legacy. I'll say it now. Roman's legacy would have been enhanced by putting Cody over and letting Cody have this moment. That WrestleMania moment would be looked back on way more favorably by the masses had Cody had the big moment at the end. That WrestleMania match with Reigns and Cody, for me at least, I'll watch it back. It was enjoyable. But how I remember that match is nowhere near as favorable because Cody just lost awkwardly at the ending. We just played highlights of the ending just before. It was awkward. It felt out of place. It just didn't feel right. Roman Reigns, what did he really gain from that ending? That's the question I'm asking here. It's a lot of just really WWE. That's the sort of vibe, the sort of feeling I'm getting there. And it leads me to say this. Alright, WWE has well and truly emptied the tank with Roman Reigns as Universal Champion, or now the undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion, whatever you want to call it. WWE has truly emptied the well. There is really nothing left to achieve or do. WWE, keeping this in mind, had a well full of compelling content at their fingertips with Roman Reigns falling short of 1,000 days despite all the months of throwing his family under the bus, years of emotionally manipulating Jey Uso, all for it to come crumbling down on the grandest stage of all, a stage which he has dominated over the past decade. That story tells itself. It just does. Roman Reigns lashing out violently at his own family, violently at the roster, backlashing against Paul Heyman. The Usos, firstly Jey, then Jimmy down the road, turning their back on Roman. Solo Sikoa sticking by Roman till the bitter end, then eventually turning face. becoming a big star that way. It's just... This whole thing, I don't know. The thought of having Sikoa leave Roman high and dry after Reigns did everything he did, Paul Heyman turning his back on Roman also, Roman, had he have lost at WrestleMania 39, becomes way more unpredictable, more interesting. You want your top star of the company being more compelling, more interesting, and making other stars around that. I thought the goal was to make more money around the company. I don't know. But that said, WWE's biggest star, their face, their tribal chief, without a tribe, head of the table without a table, what does that look like? What will Roman say? What will Roman do? Who will he feud with first? How will he accept the failure of not reaching 1,000 days? What does Roman's downfall look like? Roman Reigns would become so much more must-see. Instead, well, you can bet your bottom dollar we'll have part-time Roman Reigns sitting at home on his couch with both titles, hardly ever appearing on Raw going forward, showing up maybe every second or third, will be nice and say every second SmackDown to scold the Usos for failing him and letting him down because they lost those tag titles at WrestleMania. Jay's going to look conflicted, then he'll walk off, then come back crying for Roman's admiration again 3 weeks later. Maybe in 5 months there might be some actual progression, who knows? And look, as we've seen from the Raw after WrestleMania, WWE on the Cody side of things is taking him down the 2012 John Cena rabbit hole. Quite literally move for move. Let's run through this, by the way. Ends the biggest WrestleMania match of his life and the biggest main event in years against a Samoan, emotional, having lost, sitting there crying with tears in his eyes. Then, on the Raw after WrestleMania, a surprising segment, a moment with Brock Lesnar, which ends in Brock laying out the babyface. Oh, Brock Lesnar wrestles the babyface at the post-WrestleMania pay-per-view. So that's what we've seen so far. That's literally like for like, carbon copy for carbon copy, what WWE did in 2012 with John Cena, they're doing in 2023 with Cody Rhodes. Let's all hope that Cody's redemption arc doesn't include any of the following: an Anything Goes match with John Laurinaitis, a steel cage match with The Big Show, a Money in the Bank ladder match with 5 wrestlers in it, a storyline featuring an affair and kissing AJ Lee in a hotel room only for Dolph Ziggler to beat him at a C-list pay-per-view, and then a 2024 Royal Rumble win that's overly predictable. Anyone who remembers the insane backlash the WrestleMania 29 main event between John Cena and The Rock received will know that it's not a path you want to go down with Cody Rhodes. It's just not. The IWC collectively lost their minds over Cena predictably getting his win back that he should have had a year prior, back then. And to be fair, I will say, that situation was a little different. Cena had been the top star, the top babyface, the top shove down your throats guy for 8 years at that point. It was super predictable. It was an obvious decision, and the community collectively said enough. If WWE do that with Cody Rhodes in 5 months, a year down the line, it'll probably be similar. Alright, WWE just repeats history. We saw the backlash back then, it'll probably be similar. And that's not what you want. It's just not, okay? So let's see where it goes, shall we? Maybe Triple H, or, as is being reported now, self-professed by the man himself, Vince McMahon, have something amazing creatively with this. Maybe WWE will blow my mind and prove myself, all the other doubters, wrong. Maybe this video will age poorly. And I really hope it does. I hope this video ages badly and Reigns has another, potentially year of amazing content where he's appearing week to week and it's great, truly excellent television. I really hope that's the case. But boy oh boy, coming out of WrestleMania 39, it really does seem like WWE had a WrestleMania ending that was there for them, and truly they dropped the ball hard. And who knows, maybe that WrestleMania ending is what makes MJF go, nah, I'm good, I'll stay away from WWE, I'll finesse Tony Khan for some ridiculous amount of money that's 7 or 8 figures. That's just better for me, it's better for my career. I don't need that. I don't need to have a match just to have my momentum crush. I don't need that at WrestleMania. Maybe this is the catalyst for people to start calling Roman's run a reign of terror, more unanimously than just a couple of seeming haters on Twitter. Maybe it gets coined the reign of terror. Who knows? And maybe this is just the first creative move in Vince McMahon's return to holding the pen. Heaven forbid. Only time will tell. All I do know is this. WWE stuffed up the WrestleMania 39 ending. And they better pray to all that's holy that their greed to get their golden boy Roman Reigns to 1,000 days and his championship run to that big 4-digit number at the expense of Cody Rhodes in that moment and WrestleMania 39. Man, they better hope it's worth it. Bloody better be.